Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Minister, for coming here this morning. When we talk about ID, normally when you arrive at the airport, you have to provide ID. And when we come here to apartment buildings, the same happens. So I'm surprised that when we're talking about choosing a government, that would be no need for presenting ID. I think, on the contrary, there must be. I was a candidate in the election of 2011, and personally I'm convinced that Bill C-23 is a good piece of legislation, that it is a distinct improvement in the electoral process. In your opinion, Mr. Minister, do you think that Canadians will be more likely to go and vote when they know that their vote will be protected from any election fraud, and that there will be a more consistent approach in general? Yes, I think so. I think that as well as having additional confidence on the democracy and the integrity of the voting system because of this Fair Elections Act, I think that the fact that concentrating advertising of Elections Canada on how, when, and where to vote will help people to arrive with all the necessary information. There are 39 different types of ID that are accepted. There are a number of people who are not aware of the fact that there are 39. Even the leader of the Green Party thought that photo ID was required. This is the chief of a party, the head of a large political organization in 2 elections, and she thought that it was necessary to present a photo ID. That being said, I think that Election Canada does have to do a better job of informing Canadians about the various options for ID. If Canadians realized that there were 39, I think that they would probably have a better idea of what to carry with them. Senator Boisvenu. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Minister, for coming here and for giving us very clear answers. You are a very good teacher. I think that you've been giving us very good explanations. And I think that there are some people that may be defending other points of view rather than need to have a very clear rules governing the electoral process. We've just had a provincial election in Quebec. And I think that the results were satisfactory for a number of people. And I look at the role of the Chief Electoral Officer in Quebec during this election campaign, and it was very much aimed at providing information to voters, where they were able to vote, the importance of voting, how this right could be exercised. I took part in a great many federal elections, and seldom did I see the Chief Electoral Officer at the federal level play this role, rather than actually stating what his powers were. So my question is a fairly general one for you. This bill does contain a number of provisions. First of all, it will amend the responsibilities of the Chief Electoral Officer when it comes to voters. And I think it's very important for those who are listening to us and for Canadian voters to realize that this is a bill that is aimed at them. How will it facilitate voting? This right that Canadians have to vote. Thank you, Senator. First of all, there will be another voting day that will allow people who are busy during the election day to vote in advance. And I think that this will be of benefit to Canadians. Secondly, there will be an attempt to inform Canadians about all these practical matters of how and where to vote. If a person votes during the day of the election and at the normal place, then it will be simple. But for advance polls, there are many Canadians. Normally, half of young people did not realize that they could vote in advance during the past election. 73% of young Aboriginals did not know that it was possible to vote in advance. If these young people, or if these people happen to be working during the voting day, or if they're busy, Otherwise, they may not be able to vote on the day of the election, but they should know that there will be there are other options. And Election Canada will have to inform them about these opportunities, and I'm convinced that this will certainly increase the participation rate. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Perhaps you or one of your assistants might give me some information. Someone who shows up at a poll is not registered on the list but does have ID. Will this person be able to vote? The person may register on the voting day. And in such circumstances, I think that an oath must be taken. Yes, normally the person must fill out a registry form.
Senator Mitchell following him.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for coming this morning. Just a quick comment and a question. I'm not as old as Senator Plett, so I've not been involved in as many elections. But I have since the age of 16. And I can tell you the voting is a problem. But it's not just voting. And I've witnessed it personally on the streets of Halifax and Dartmouth. And it is a problem. Many of these people, first of all, don't even know who the candidates are, haven't been involved. That doesn't absolve them from the right to vote. I realize that. I've seen them actually, people take them right in and almost mark their ballot. That's how serious this is, and it's thousands and thousands. But I want to make this. I was taken back. Sheila Fraser has a lot of credibility in this country for some of the things that she's done. And an article and comments that were attributed to her, and I want your comment on this, but I want to follow up with another question. Quote, when you see the difficulties, just the operational difficulties that are going to be created in all this, I think it's going to be very difficult to have a truly fair election. I thought that was some kind of comment. In fact, in some of this article, she talks about and criticizes, and to quote, hiving off the commissioner and putting him or her in with the independent director of prosecutions. Back in the 80s, we had a royal commission in Nova Scotia into the wrongful conviction of Donald Marshall Jr. And prior to that, the Attorney General's Department and the prosecutorials and the administration were all in one department. And one of the key recommendations was that we would have independent public prosecutors and a director of public prosecutions. And because it brought about the separation. So you've alluded to this, but what amazed me or surprised me, and scholars for years have called for this separation, that a person, and we'll find out, I understand she's come before the committee, that she would make this comment, and my question is, she is co-chair of an advisory board. Was she speaking for the board? I have the list of those esteemed individuals that are on that board. Is she speaking for herself? Do you know that? Have you inquired at all? Not that it was your job to inquire, but I mean, is she speaking for Michael Wilson, for Preston Manning, and all these individuals? Or is she on her own? Because I think it is a statement that is somewhat, if I may say so, reckless in light of what we have as precedents now across this country as to how administration is separated from the prosecutorial side.
As I've read the transcripts of a recent debate, Senator, I think one of your senators is on, Hugh Segal is on this body, and he indicated that the comments were not a reflection of his point of view. I'm not really familiar with this body. I'm not sure what it does, what role it has. So I can't really comment further on it. But I do find Elections Canada's comments on the independence of the Director of Public Prosecutions very troubling and plainly contradictory. I just quoted the 2012-2013 Elections Canada report where they referred to the prosecutor as independent. For the agency now to suddenly claim that there would be a lack of independence is a tremendous and spectacular contradiction of its past written statements. As for the issue of logistical problems, I think you quoted someone saying there would be a logistical. I can't imagine what those problems are. As I understand, Elections Canada has email, it has phones, it has people who can walk down the street to another office. We are all work together, yet we don't all reside in the same office. I don't know what logistical problems could possibly occur. I should also note that in the Fair Elections Act, the proposed Section 510(3) says, and I quote, "The Commissioner is to conduct the investigation independently of the Director of Public Prosecutions." Not only is the DPP independent from the political government, but the Commissioner is independent from the DPP. That is two layers of independence rather than just one.